Thank you guys for joining me. Unafraid, right or wrong. We're kicking around some reaction to the Oregon Washington State versus Oregon game. Washington State prevailed 33-10. And so there are some initial reactions I have to this game. First of which is, okay, so we started our third string quarterback who's a true freshman. So there was a little bit of growing pains that was to be expected. But my biggest takeaway from the game is that Washington State is good, but it hurts because this is a game you know that we either could have won or would have won if Herbert was in at quarterback. So with that said, let's kind of take it through the game. My second biggest takeaway from the game, besides that Washington State is good, but it hurt because this game is a game we know we could have won with Herbert. The second most important, biggest takeaway from the game is that the defense is significantly improved. If this had been last year and we were not moving the ball up and down the field, if Burmeister and the offense weren't able to move the ball and weren't able to convert on third downs at the rate that they weren't today, if this were last season, oh my God, they would have lost 82-10. So 82-10, I mean, like literally, realistically, that's what it would have been. And I have to applaud Jim Leavitt. I would have to applaud the defense. Yeah, I'll give some credit to Miami later. With how he has transformed the Oregon defense in such short order. Because when you looked at halftime, aside from that 41-yard touchdown on the screen of Morrow on the first drive, the defense was stout. I mean, the defense was stout. They had them to field goal after field goal. And it was just the fact that the Oregon offense could not move the football. I mean, if you continuously give Washington State a short field, bad things are going to happen. And they scored 33 points. That's really not bad considering the circumstances. And the defense, I will say this. The defense was the beneficiary of a few bad pass interference calls. I'm a proponent of college football of letting the wide receivers and the cornerbacks jostle a little bit. But today, and I'm not a blame guy. I don't like to blame the officials. I don't like to blame anything like that because the officials weren't the cause of the Ducks losing the game today. However, I will say that these pass interference calls went one way today. And the Oregon secondary played very well. I mean, Graham, you had Terrell, you had Amadi, all these guys played really, really well today, and I was thoroughly impressed. And probably the most impressive guy on the defense all season has been Jelks. Jelks has just been a monster, and even today he had a tough matchup, and the kid was still out there balling. You guys are watching Unafraid, right or wrong. Please make sure you like the feed, share the feed, swipe over, make sure we can continue the conversation. Appreciate you guys joining me for a post-game reaction for the Oregon versus the Washington State-Oregon game. The next thing, though, is the penalties, man. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I promise you this, is that it is frustrating watching the Ducks have as many penalties as they do. Because when you are a team who is rebuilding, kind of, as the Ducks are, like me, we're rebuilding. I mean, that's the truth. We're playing well. We've won some games. But the truth is the Ducks are still rebuilding. And when you are a team who has a thin margin, you can't have a bunch of offsides penalties. I think we had 4 or 5 today. You can't have the holding penalties that we have today. And if the Ducks are going to take that next evolution in terms of a team for this season, I'm not talking about the future and the recruiting classes or anything like that. I'm talking about just for what the Ducks are going to do this season. They have to cut down the penalties. I think today they finished with 12 or 13 penalties. Last game they had 14. The game before that, they had 10. We are leading the nation in penalties. And truth be told, we can't afford that. We cannot afford that at all because we have a razor thin margin for error right now. Now, to go to the quarterback situation with Burmeister, I know that this was his first start as a true freshman, and I'm giving a little leniency to that, right? But I will say that when you compare his first start, when you see his first start versus Justin Herbert's first start, there were points in time against Washington, right? So I'll give you Justin Herbert's exact stat line from last year. He finished 21 of 34, 179 yards, and 2 touchdowns and an interception. And I will tell you this, there were points in that game that I looked at Justin Herbert and I said, oh, wow, you saw some flashes, right? You saw some flashes of him being able to pass the ball, throw the ball, and the future looked bright. Today with Burmeister, I mean, I had heard a lot of hype from former Oregon quarterback Achilles Smith about the kid and all that. Maybe the kid may turn out good. Maybe he was a kid who really did need to be redshirted. But today, I will tell you, honestly, I was not impressed. I was not impressed. He was 15 for 25, 145 yards and a touchdown. And aside from the throw to Breeland, he was kind of unimpressive today. Sat in the pocket, holding the ball, and hopefully he's better next week. I mean, that's the only thing that you can hope as a Ducks. Because if I'm looking at the offense, because it looked like Willie Taggart and the offense, they really went super vanilla. When I say vanilla, I mean that they pared down the offense to make sure that Burmeister could be successful. And I don't think that you can do that when you're playing in your Pac-12 schedule. You may be able to get away with that against Colorado. You may be able to get away with that against Oregon State. But you're not going to get away with that against a team the quality and caliber of Washington State. That's just the truth. So you're going to have to be willing to air the football out. Let Burmeister throw the ball and let the chips fall where they may. Because what Washington State did today is once they saw that Oregon was not going to pass the ball, when Burmeister was throwing the ball, he was passing it out of bounds, wasn't giving his receivers a good opportunity to catch the ball. They loaded up the box, made sure that they stopped the run, and said, I double dog dare you to throw the ball over my head. And we couldn't. The Ducks could not throw the ball over their head. That's just the truth. So going forward, when you look at the next team on the schedule, the Ducks have Stanford coming up next. They go down to the farm. They're at Stanford. And I will tell you this, I am confident going into that game. I am confident in that game for 2 reasons. The question, how big of an offensive package should we put together in the next game? Oh, the offensive package is going to have to be opened up a little bit more, but against Stanford. But the main thing with Stanford is because Stanford is having trouble with their passing game with Keller Christ at quarterback. So what do you have to do? You have to stop Bryce Love. And with the defense I saw today from Oregon, the future's bright. That Stanford game is a game that you can win even with Breeland at quarterback. Even if he plays the way he did today, Oregon can win that game. Today against Washington State, they had to pass the ball a little bit. They were going to have to be effective throwing the ball if they wanted to win. And they weren't able to do that. My other takeaway from the game was, aside from the penalties, aside from the defense playing phenomenally and significantly improved, is I would say that I wonder where Tony Brooks James was today, because he's an explosive player, and I wanted to see a little bit more of him today. He didn't get very many touches. And when you look at the entire stat line, right, we only rushed for, hold up, let me pull up the exact total. We only rushed for 132 yards on 45 carries. Burmeister technically had 15 carries, but Royce Freeman only got 12. Benoit got 2. Tony Brooks-James got 3. And Darian Felix got a couple mop-up carries, 2 mop-up carries at the end of the game. Taj Griffin got 2 as well. McNeil had 1. And when you look at that rushing game production, that's not going to be successful. That's why I said that Oregon had to be willing to let Burmeister throw the ball down the field, make some reads, not just off those screens, because Washington State was not going to fall for those things. So they said playmakers don't seem to be getting the ball in space. I would totally agree with that. That's where Herbert, which was leading the nation's top offense, spreading the ball around, hitting slants, hitting hitches. The entire route tree was open and available to him. And I don't know whether we're going to attribute it to coaching, because we'll see between this week and next week, whether it's coaching or Burmeister can't make these throws at this point in time. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a bright future. Just some kids need to redshirt. That's just the truth. And maybe there's a reason why he was going to redshirt, but he was forced into duty now. I was sorely disappointed, though. I'll reiterate again. I was sorely disappointed with some of the pass interference calls. Was anybody else frustrated with some of the pass interference calls besides me? I mean, I was dumbfounded at times on the replay. And when you look at one of the interceptions in I think it was the third quarter or beginning of the fourth quarter that Washington State got, the man pushed off, number 4, their corner pushed off of the receiver and then turned around and intercepted the ball. And you're like, wait, hold up. That would have been a pass interference. I mean, they might have threw the Oregon guy out the game for that. I mean, that's a little bit over an exaggeration, but you get the point, though. You get the point. And and somebody made a comment here earlier. I would totally agree with the pass interference. It was ridiculous. It was outrageous, and I didn't even know what to say. I mean, there were times that were critical in the game that we got some pass interferences, and you're just like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. I would, in addition to the penalties, Oregon having to stop committing so many penalties, because, I mean, it literally kills your team, kills your game, kills the momentum when you have that many penalties. In addition to eliminating penalties, Oregon also has to run the ball more effectively. That means being even more creative now that you know that Braxton Burmeister is your quarterback going forward for the near future. You know that. So you have to find different ways to get the ball to him, because teams are going to stack the box. I would stack the box and say, I double dog dare you to have him drop back, and we're going to blitz to drop back and throw the ball over our head accurately. Because he got Burmeister was in the pocket, looked downfield, and was just eating the ball. Just eating the ball. Son, you got to let it go. And the other thing is, this was his welcome to college football moment. This was Burmeister's welcome to college football moment. Because where in high school you can run all around, and get away from defensive linemen, get away from linebackers, get away from DBs. In college, that's not happening unless you're a special athlete. Burmeister's a dual threat quarterback technically, but he's not explosive in terms of being a runner. He can be effective as a runner, but he's not explosive as a runner, like we saw from Marcus Mariota, like we've seen from Dennis Dixon, like we saw from Jeremiah Masoli, guys who are very explosive running the football. That's not who Burmeister is. That's not what he's going to be. He's going to have to be more of a pocket passer, and then who can occasionally run the football. So the Oregon offense is going to have to adjust for that. Also, this game hurt a lot. I would say that as Ducks fans, this game hurt a lot because the season was trending in a good way. Because if you guys are like me, you believe, as Oregon fans, that if Herbert had been in the game today, this is a win against Washington State. With the way the defense played, you have to know that. You have to believe that. And so it looks like a season that would have been sitting at 5-1 or could have been sitting at 6-0. You're just like, oh man, whew, that one stung a little bit. That one stung a little bit. Because it was a game that if the defense keeps trending in this direction, I mean, this team is going places. And I got called a crazy man. I got called a lunatic for saying that Jim Leavitt was going to turn Oregon into a top 25 defense this year. I'll wait on everybody to apologize right now that called me a crazy man, that said that my expectations for the Ducks were too high when I said that they could potentially win, that they could either win the Pac-12 North or they could win 6 games. I mean, come on now. Come on now. I got called a crazy man. But when you look at what you see on that field, tell me I'm not right. Tell me I'm not right. I am impressed with Ducks football. I hope you guys are right now. And there's hope for the future. And, oh, what's up? Oh, what's up, Frank? And another thing is, Oregon had to be happy today, right? Because I know I have a couple Oregon State guys Washington State guys that follow me. Framp, I got Hamza Abdullah, oh my God, I can't even think of everybody's name right now. I'm spacing. But Oregon got other big news today. Oregon got other big news today. They got a big-time recruit. They got a quarterback to commit today. I mean, that was a big deal. So they got Tyler Shute. I hope it's saying his last name right. Tyler Shute. Matt Prim at Prim MR 247. He tweeted out about it today, and they have his whole Hulu package and all that stuff. And when you look at this recruiting class and you look at the games today, you look at what Oregon has been able to do, it's exciting. But on another note, I will give Washington State a lot of credit. Washington State is a team that in my unafraid top 10, I have had Washington State in the top 10, not top 10 in the Pac-10, Pac-12, top 10 teams in the entire country for the last 3 weeks. Last week I had them at number 3, the third best team in the country. Because when you look at the teams that I said were overrated from the beginning of the season, I had the most overrated team I have in the country this year. I have Washington, number 1. I forget the exact order. I think I had Michigan, number 2. Michigan got knocked off today by Michigan State. George looking right again. Have Texas is overrated. Florida Gators, they're proving it each and every day with their awful offense. I said today when they were playing against, who were they playing against today? When Florida was playing today, their offense was absolutely atrocious. Their offense was absolutely atrocious. And I tweeted out, I said, man, they were in a butter knife fight today because neither team had any offense. I was sorely disappointed in watching Florida. Oh, yeah, it was LSU. I was sorely disappointed in watching that LSU game. I mean, good God, that was bad football. Every time I watch Florida and LSU play offensively, I'm like, this is a butter knife fight. Like, these dudes, they have weapons, but they can't cut anybody. They can't hurt anybody. And so I have those teams as overrated. And everybody's proven me right. Everybody's proven me right. And I had Louisville as a honorable mention. I know, man, one day you guys are going to have to start believing from the beginning. I gave you the bold predictions for Oregon this year. Completely right about all of them. Couldn't really fade Herbert getting hurt, but, you know, a lot of those things are still possibilities. Another game on the scoreboard, though, you got Stanford and Utah playing right now. It's halftime, and it's Stanford 13, Utah 10. When you look at this game, I mean, this is a game of kind of inept offenses as well. Because as good as Bryce Love has been, he already has 11 carries, 66 yards in this game, so you know he's going over 100 yards. But when you look at Stanford's entire game plan, when you look at how well that they have not been playing in terms of the pass game, this is not a team that is in the upper echelon of the Pac-12 right now. That's just the truth. And Utah's offense, they have a new quarterback who was the quarterback last year, Troy Williams, instead of the young cat. He's playing again, and their offense is back looking to just like it did last year. And Darren Carrington does not have a catch yet. I will say, though, going forward, because after we get off of here, I have to finish my Unafraid top 10 for next week. And this one is a toughie. I'm going to be honest, this was a toughie. And because when you look at, because I don't base my rankings off of who's expected to be good, what coaches are big name coaches and all that. No, I base my rankings on who are the best teams, who has played good teams. And when you look at who's coming up this week, because you already had Michigan lose, you had Oklahoma lose, you had Wisconsin getting a dogfight. I mean, this is, for there only being one ranked game all weekend, the TCU West Virginia game, this shaped up to be a good weekend of college football. Thank you guys for joining me today. Unafraid, right or wrong. Let me check Facebook to see if there are any questions, comments on there. But if not, I'm going to leave y'all be until Monday, unless something great happens over the weekend, and then you already know your boy is coming back. Let me check the Facebook. Then we will be out. All right. Peace out, guys. Oh my gosh. Forgot to tell you guys. I'm going to say it again. Yes, I have to give the Canes credit, but also I saw a comment earlier that said that the Ducks will never have as much talent as they had with Chip. The Ducks are going to have way more talent than they ever had with Chip. Chip was just a really good coach that got the team to win. You guys, I started a new anonymous mailbag. The email address is unafraidshow@gmail.com. Unafraidshow@gmail.com. This is an anonymous email. I will not mention your name. It's in my bio. Send it out. Send me your emails. Ask your questions, and I will answer them, post them and all that stuff on the blog, and you guys will see it as well. All right. Right or wrong. See you guys later on. Peace out.